I've been taking care of my brother Justin since he was 10, after our parents passed away when I was only 16. I had to step up and manage the household because he was still so young. I did everything for him, and he was my top priority. I guess you could say I spoiled him a bit. My focus was on providing for my brother, so I didn't date much until I met Melissa almost 10 years ago. We dated for 2 years, and everything seemed great. My brother really liked her. One day, I overheard a conversation Melissa was having with her friend. She mentioned that while she loved me and appreciated how I took care of her, she felt I was average in the bedroom. Her friend suggested she talk to me about it, but Melissa confessed that she was having an affair with Justin for the past 8 months. She believed it was justified because she thought Justin was better in bed than I was. It was incredibly painful to hear. I pretended I hadn't heard anything and went inside the house. Later, I confronted Justin about it. I knew how to get him to talk, and after denying it for a while, he eventually admitted it was true. He said he didn't want to hurt me, but he and Melissa were in love and wanted to get married. However, Melissa wouldn't leave me. I was seething with my anger. I wanted to lash out at him, but instead, I simply told him he was dead to me and walked away. I also asked Melissa to leave, and she ended up staying with my brother and his roommates. My brother kept bombarding me with relentless emails, begging for forgiveness and promising to end things with Melissa. In response, I shut down the bank account I had set up for him, essentially cutting him off from the trust fund I had intended for him when he turned 25. At that point, I couldn't even see him as my brother anymore. The ordeal pushed me into a deep depression. I couldn't bring myself to eat or sleep properly, haunted by nightmares of my brother and ex mocking me, belittling my abilities in bed, and blaming me for her departure. The pain became so unbearable that I found myself standing at the edge of train tracks, contemplating the unthinkable. Thankfully, a friend intervened and saved me from myself. While I didn't have many friends, those who stood by me became my lifeline. I spent a year living with them and underwent therapy, including group sessions to cope with my anxiety and trauma around intimacy. For a long time, I avoided dating altogether. Eventually, at my friend's urging, I tentatively dipped my toes back into the dating pool, but a one-night stand ended disastrously for both parties involved. Nevertheless, I persevered with therapy and gradually began to rebuild my life. I focused on nurturing new relationships, exploring hobbies, and reclaiming my sense of self. Today, I find myself in a loving relationship with Wendy, a compassionate and understanding partner who has been privy to my past struggles. With her support, I've learned to trust again and embrace the prospect of a future together. Despite the progress I've made, receiving an invitation to my brother's wedding, where Melissa features prominently, reopened old wounds. Yet, somehow, seeing their names together no longer stings as much. At present, I find myself in a state of emotional numbness. Were this scenario to unfold 8 years ago, I would have likely experienced a profound emotional breakdown. Yet, the pain still lingers, preventing me from sharing in any semblance of joy for my brother's forthcoming wedding. My fiancé, recognizing the emotional turmoil, wisely suggests that we decline the invitation and remove it from our immediate concerns. Before delving into the update, I must express my admiration for your unwavering strength. The callousness exhibited by those who have caused you such anguish is beyond comprehension. I struggle to imagine the depth of the agony you must endure. While the temptation to witness their suffering may seem justifiable, they have drained me of any remaining affection or goodwill. When our parents passed away, I was entrusted with the responsibility of looking after my brother, with the expectation that we would support each other as adults. Regrettably, he has betrayed that trust. It's not merely about Melissa's betrayal, it's about the rupture of the bond between siblings. You have dutifully fulfilled your obligations to both your parents and your brother, thereby absolving yourself of any further indebtedness. His failure to reciprocate that support is a testament to his own shortcomings. Instead, he may seek solace in seeking validation through online forums, attempting to justify his actions. The act of sending me the wedding invitation was a twisted endeavor, perhaps intended to reopen old wounds. Nevertheless, I refuse to allow their actions to dictate my future happiness. I extend my sincerest apologies for the ordeal they have subjected you to, particularly at the hands of your own brother. It is abundantly clear that you are better off without his presence in your life. As such, I implore you not to entertain the idea of attending the wedding. It is imperative that you treat the invitation as though it never reached your hands. You deserve far better than the turmoil they have inflicted upon you. I'm glad to see you happy with your fiancé and your upcoming child. Congratulations on that. Keep moving forward and don't let your brother back into your life. He won't ever apologize, especially now that he's marrying your cheating ex. Let him witness it from the inside and beg for your forgiveness, but you don't need him. He's marrying a cheater too, and I hope she cheats on him, as she likely will in the future or may have already. Either way, toss that invitation and continue living your life without him. Now for the update. Hey, everyone. I've been thinking of sharing an update for a while now. I know Reddit folks appreciate updates, but I delayed it because I recently had a baby girl. When I posted my original story, my now wife was already 8.5 months pregnant, and we had an early delivery. Our baby girl, Emily, is absolutely adorable. She's a little bundle of joy for both of us. She's so tiny and cute, with eyes like mine. I can't believe we created something so precious. I spend so much time holding her that my wife jokingly gets upset because she thinks I'll cuddle her to death. Also, my fiancé and I got married pretty quickly. It was a court marriage. Neither of us wanted a big wedding anyway. We're all doing fine. Some of you asked how my brother knew my address. Well, he didn't. He only knew my work email, and probably the company I work for. So, from there, he tracked down my email and sent an invitation. A few days ago, I received another email from him, as I had forgotten to block him. I usually don't check my work email much, as most communications are forwarded to Slack. In the email, my brother basically expressed that he knows I won't come to his wedding but still wanted me there for his big day. He expressed regret for his actions and admitted that he couldn't forgive himself for hurting me. He acknowledged his mistake in getting involved with Melissa, despite knowing it was wrong. He confessed to feeling inferior to me while growing up, leading to jealousy. When Melissa approached him, he felt a sense of significance he craved. His realization of wrongdoing came when I severed ties with him, triggering a panic attack. Despite his efforts to reach out, my friends refused to disclose my whereabouts. He pleaded with them desperately, hitting rock bottom upon learning of my attempt to avoid him. Even his own friends, who saw me as a brother figure, distanced themselves, refusing to attend his wedding with Melissa. 2 years later, he and Melissa reconciled, both burdened by guilt from past mistakes. She, abandoned by her child's father due to infidelity, sought redemption and reconciliation. Their reunion sparked from a desire to make amends, but it was short-lived. They ended their relationship again after he called off the wedding, realizing he couldn't go through with it. Despite our estrangement, he implored me to be part of his future, willing to devote his life to reconciliation. I chose to disregard his plea, deleting the email without consideration. While my therapist preached the value of forgiveness, I found myself unable to embrace it. I understand my reluctance may seem petty, yet I find solace in my decision, content with the current state of affairs. My life is already a delicate balance, and the thought of reintroducing my brother into the mix fills me with apprehension. While my wife suggests letting go of the past and absolving my brother of any wrongdoing, I can't shake the feeling that he needs to confront his own demons and take responsibility for his actions. For too long, I've played the role of protector and caretaker, but now it's time for him to navigate his own path to maturity. As for inquiries into my brother's current situation, I've deliberately distanced myself from him for the past decade. I've relocated, changed jobs, and essentially erased him from my life, seeking solace in therapy to cope with the emotional fallout. His recent email shedding light on his breakup with Melissa after several years together hints at a tumultuous journey. It appears his friends played a significant role in derailing their relationship, leading to the cancellation of their wedding plans. Despite my brother's plea for my presence at his side, his choice of partner holds little sway over my decision. Surprisingly, I've discovered the extent of my influence on his circle of friends, some of whom have reached out to express remorse for their part in the ordeal. While their contrition is appreciated, I've chosen to maintain my distance from them as well. In facing the repercussions of his actions, my brother stands alone, grappling with the aftermath of his betrayal not only to me but also to those who once counted him as a friend. As for Melissa, her own betrayal has seemingly come full circle, serving as a poignant reminder of the consequences of deceit. Despite the years of support and sacrifice I've invested in my brother, I find myself harboring no animosity toward him. Instead, I'm focused on nurturing the relationships that bring me fulfillment and looking forward to a future unburdened by the weight of past betrayals. If he truly regrets his actions, he'll find his own way to redemption without relying on your assistance. It's baffling how he had the audacity to invite you to his wedding with his now ex, knowing the pain they both inflicted upon you. Your decision not to attend was the right one. Forgiveness can't be coerced. Whenever you're ready to forgive him, it will happen naturally. If not, then so be it. I don't blame you for withholding forgiveness. If he truly regretted his actions, he wouldn't have chosen to marry Melissa, the very woman who caused you so much pain. Forgiveness doesn't set you free, it merely creates a different kind of trap. Over the years, I've come to see forgiveness as a tool used by cowards to evade accountability. True forgiveness is earned, and he has yet to do anything to earn it. Your wife's insight is commendable. He got back with Melissa knowing their affair was the cause of your suffering. Canceling the wedding only happened when they realized you wouldn't attend. It's likely he'll return to her as soon as you forgive him, as people like him believe forgiveness absolves them of guilt. I'm grateful to have my wife by my side. One of the red flags I overlooked with Melissa was her immaturity. She lacked emotional intelligence despite being a good student. My wife, on the other hand, embodies maturity and sophistication. Many people underestimate the importance of these qualities, focusing instead on superficial attributes. I don't believe he's guilty if he continues to choose Melissa over me. I'm not asking to be his top priority, but he should at least have the decency not to include a woman who shattered my heart. I was stunned by her actions and felt like I was living in a nightmare. My emotions were in turmoil as I confronted her about the affair, but instead of remorse, she laughed at me, further deepening the wound. The pain of betrayal weighed heavily on me, especially considering my own transgression 4 years prior. Despite the regret I still carry, I was committed to rebuilding our fractured relationship. The subsequent separation was a period of profound anguish for both of us. Losing her was devastating, and the emptiness that followed was unbearable. However, after several agonizing months apart, I found the courage to beg for her return. We embarked on a journey of healing, seeking solace in therapy and gradually working to mend what was broken. Her eventual return brought a sense of relief, but the scars of betrayal lingered. We took cautious steps to rebuild our life together, nurturing our relationship with care and understanding. Over time, our bond grew stronger, and I allowed myself to believe that our struggles were behind us. Yet, recent events have shaken that belief to its core. A sudden visitor at our door, claiming innocence in a perplexing situation, ignited a sense of unease within me. Questions swirled in my mind as I struggled to make sense of the encounter. Was this merely a misunderstanding, or was there something more sinister at play? Despite the uncertainties looming over us, I remain committed to confronting the truth, whatever it may be. Our journey together has been fraught with challenges, but I refuse to let doubt and suspicion overshadow the love and trust we've worked so hard to rebuild. I was taken aback, so I confronted her about whether she was involved with him. She appeared unsettled and bothered, then hesitantly confirmed my suspicions. I was left speechless. I inquired if there were others, to which she admitted yes, since we reconciled. Surprisingly composed, she discussed it as though it were ordinary. When I explained I hadn't even glanced at another woman since my infidelity, she initially seemed surprised, then chuckled, assuming I had. She rationalized her actions, claiming if I could, so could she, and abruptly canceled my trip home, citing prior plans. Infuriated, I raised my voice, prompting her to suggest that perhaps we weren't meant to be together. Threatening divorce if my anger persisted, she delivered a harsh reality check. It was over. She had emotionally checked out of the relationship, remaining only for convenience. Despite my betrayal, she justified her infidelity, unwilling to reconsider her plans with him. It was a sobering moment. Her candid admission revealed her true feelings, confirming what I had feared. She had prioritized him over our relationship. It was a bitter pill to swallow. She had moved on long before, and I had been oblivious, clinging to false hope. As the saying goes, once a woman decides to leave a relationship, it's nearly impossible to regain what was lost. She had made her decision, and I was left to accept it, no matter how painful. She's meticulously pondered over it, recognizing that once someone is perceived in a certain light, there's no reversing that perception. When I initiated divorce proceedings, tears didn't accompany the decision. They had already been shed, and I was resolutely prepared to forge ahead. As an individual who has experienced infidelity and attempted reconciliation, I felt an immediate disdain from the moment I uncovered the betrayal. While I did make efforts, the true extent of the damage didn't become apparent until I was personally affected by infidelity. I've observed couples who managed to stay together and appeared content despite one partner's infidelity, but it necessitates concerted effort from both parties. However, not every relationship can withstand such betrayal. Sometimes, the damage is simply too deep to repair, irrespective of the underlying love. The betrayal and lack of respect can overshadow any romantic sentiments, rendering continuation untenable. It's a sobering realization that for some, forgiveness isn't a viable option, not because they refuse to forgive, but because they find themselves incapable of doing so. My ex made attempts to rectify the situation, but they proved futile. All I could feel was resentment. For individuals like myself, forgiveness and rebuilding trust after such a breach are beyond reach.